Hi there, Mark Donahue coming to you from Amplify Studios downtown and King West Media Group. We're getting ready to launch a fifth weekly social distancing concert this Saturday night at 8 o'clock. And we have an opening act. And after that, at 9 comes Jared Stewart Band. And he's going to be here with Mike Stouse and world famous Roger Strosky on bass. Mike has a bit of a stake in Amplify Studios, so make sure you tune in and check him out. I played with Jared in a band called the Outfit, getting to be 2 years ago, and but there's still things I don't know about Jared Stewart. So I've got some questions for you, Jared.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. What do you think about this? Are you getting geared up and ready for this? You're going to bring us your best stuff on Saturday night, or?
Well, you know, I guess the first thing I'd like to say is I'm thankful for something like this to happen, especially during this whole time of uncertainty. You know, we get to play some music, people get to watch it. It's not necessarily the normal way, you know, but you know, doing it virtually like this, it's really eye-opening. You know, that there's actually a crowd that wants to, you know, keep it going.
Yeah, and what we have found is you actually get more comments online than you do live. People have a chance to get on there and express themselves, and they do it. So we'll bring those comments up occasionally if you want to address them or not. But we're seeing them when we're back here on the crew doing all of this. We're seeing all the comments come in, and there will be a lot of them, pages of them. So that's really encouraging.
Seems like that's the way it works out most of the time.
Yeah, they really do like it. But my question for you is that and I'm ashamed of myself for not knowing this, but what got you started just down the music road? So many people don't play music. The majority of us don't.
Well, you know, I come from the Crow Reservation. You know, I'm proud Apsalaga, and where we're from, it's all about basketball. You know, I played basketball as a 2-time state champion on that. But my senior year, I discovered the guitar, and you know, got to show off. So I started learning Guns N' Roses, and Patience was the first song I ever played, and that was back in '89. So that's how long I've been playing, since 1989.
So you've been doing it a while.
Yeah, and I'm still the kid in this room, you know.
Have you participated in that like 10-album challenge that's going around on social media?
Yeah, actually I have.
Yeah, which are your like top 3 albums that influenced you in that?
I would probably have to say Stevie Ray Vaughan, Texas Flood, of course.
Oh yeah.
Another one is probably Gary Moore's Blues Alive. It's a live album, and it's got, you know, the whole era that, you know, he went in playing the blues and just shredding it. And then the top pick for me, and it's kind of it's a little eclectic, is the Ian Moore Band live in Austin.
Oh wow.
Because that has a little bit of the ethereal rock. It's a little more organic, and then it's, you know, it's in Austin, and he's an Austin player, and it has still has that Stevie Ray vibe, and you know, it's kind of funky.
So you kind of like to stay in that genre still, right?
Yeah,
kind of bluesy and
the blues rock. Yeah,
blues rock.
Yep.
Right. Have you done any writing?
Yeah, I've been writing. I have, you know, of course, I have 2 CDs from way before, and I have bits and pieces, you know, things that I could put together if we actually sat down and decided we wanted to record again. So
good.
I think I have at least 5-6 songs. Right. And that's a good core.
Yeah, that is. I want to turn to Roger for a minute. Roger, I've played. I got going well before high school, 7th grade. Been in bands ever since, through college, and well, I took a hiatus for a while. But you're one of the best, one of the finest bass players I've ever had the privilege of working with. We never have worked together in a band, but he used to get up and play a lot with us when we were playing as the Outfit. And I just want to know, you're kind of a little guy, and you're playing the longest neck guitar known to man. Why aren't you playing a little mini telly or something instead of this big long bass? What brought you to the bass?
Well, I still play some guitar, but what brought me the bass was probably growing up with a drummer, percussionist father.
Oh,
He was also a corporate executive for Sears for a number of years, but he was a semi-pro player. Could have been totally pro, we just never went there. But I started playing trumpet when I was in grade school because I had an affinity for jazz, being my dad was pretty much a jazzer, you know. And I got into trumpet, and I was going to be a big trumpet star when I was a little kid, you know. I liked Herb Alpert and Al Hurt and all those guys
Whipped
back
cream,
in the day.
yeah.
And then February of '64, the Beatles came on the Ed Sullivan Show and ruined it for all of us. I mean, ruined it. It was Guitar City then.
who played bass for the Beatles?
Paul McCartney?
Paul McCartney. He played a Vox bass, didn't he?
Hofner.
Oh, I thought he played a Vox violin bass.
Hofner.
Oh, okay, cool.
German-made Hofner. He still plays the main one today that he played back then. He had
Oh,
like
wow.
3 of them, but there's one that was his favorite. Still the one he plays.
Wow.
But yeah, that kind of got me off the trumpet kick for a while. And now it's all about guitars and amps and singing. And
Right, and you have a sponsorship, right, with Hartke, isn't that right?
yeah, I'm endorsed by Hartke.
Yeah, you're endorsed by Hartke.
I've
So,
known Larry Hartke for a number of years now.
oh yeah, Larry Hartke, first name basis with the owner of Hartke, founder of Hartke.
Yeah. What's kind of funny about it is him and I have never met. This all started as a kind of an online thing. Actually, what he did one time back, God, probably 2004, 2005, he put an ad in Bass Player magazine.
Oh,
And explained to people about how endorsements work and how he wanted to support the little guy. Little guy meaning the guys that aren't the big playing with the big recording artists.
Right.
Help them out. So he published his cell number in that ad in Bass Player magazine.
wow, that's great.
And over a period of time, I don't know how long it was, but he had something like, God, maybe I'm wrong, but something like 13,000 cell calls in 6 months or something. And that's how I originally hooked up with him. And him and I have had an ongoing relationship ever since. So.
Right. So how did you hook up with the Jared Stewart Band? How did that come about?
Well, I lived in Phoenix almost 30 years, and about 4 years ago I decided to come back home. I'd spent enough time down there. Jared's drummer at the time, John Culbertson, is a longtime friend of mine. We've been buddies since '73. So I knew about Jared. Through John, because I'd come up here on vacation now and then and see these guys play. And so that's basically how that happened.
Oh, I see.
And after being back up here, then I started hanging with him, and his sense of humor just pulled me
Yeah,
right
I've
in,
experienced
you
it
know?
myself.
Yeah.
So when was the last time you guys played?
I believe the last time we played was, what was it, last week?
We
Last
played
weekend?
We played a couple Saturdays ago.
Where? Yeah. We have a practice room that we work with Adam Rutt from time to time.
Oh yeah.
And he's gracious enough to allow us to come and jam out with him and, you know, practice there. And
Was
then
this in front of a crowd or no?
No, it was
No.
just in his
Oh, I
his
see.
practice area.
When was the last time you played in front of a crowd? I mean, this COVID thing is
Right before the whole pandemic hit. We just come off the road from North Dakota.
Yeah, the casino up there.
Yeah.
Gosh, and this is just frozen everything. So this is good for everybody to have a little bit of, at least a bit of virtual experience.
Wasn't
yeah.
that early March?
Yeah, right the first week in March.
Right. When do you think it's going to be over? And do you have anything on the books for like July or August that's coming up that might happen?
We did have some stuff in June, and that would do the Absorki days. We have 4th of July in Glendive. We have Rock in the Rivers coming up.
Oh yeah, that's
So-
a big deal.
And that's the 20th anniversary, and they since they knew I was playing again, you know, because I had actually sat out a couple of 3 years, and then when I started playing with you guys in the outfit, then the word got out, and they asked if I was able to do it.
Right.
And you know, that's one of those shows you just can't turn down. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
www.rockinrivers.com.
Yeah, gotta go.
Gotta go for it.
Yep, absolutely. So, what do you think you would be doing right now in place of music if you weren't a musician?
Well, just probably be digging ditches.
You would?
No, I don't
This is a
know.
little more exciting.
Yeah,
But you're
this is
into
way.
jiu-jitsu, right? You've
Yeah.
got some belts and stuff?
Yep, I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu.
Uh-oh. Don't mess with Jared Stewart.
First native in Montana to be a black belt in jiu-jitsu.
Oh, that's great.
I'm proud of it.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. I have to ask, of all the songs that you perform, what's your one or two favorite songs to perform live?
Holy smokes! It's not like we have a lot of songs to choose from because I kind of take it from the whole Stevie Ray Vaughan philosophy where he does a lot of songs from obscure bands, and that's basically his set list. And then pretty soon he started recording his set list. That's where
Yeah.
he derived a lot of the cuts from. And the way I look at it is, we might not have a big catalog, but let's play to a lot of people. Different people wherever we can go. Different, that don't get to hear it all the time.
Right.
Rather than play to what we would try to have a captive audience. So
So are you talking about playing different styles of music too?
we
pull
do,
people
yeah.
in?
Well, since I was jamming with you guys, and it's almost straight country, and I had to learn how to play that too, which is totally different.
Totally different ball game. Yeah.
Yep, and just the expression was so different for me, because a lot of times I try to go back to what I did before and the playing style, and I felt like I was just kind of totally out of context,
Right.
until I finally locked into the timing of it all and started getting a handle of it, And I'm thankful for that too, because it got me back out there, got me to meet a whole bunch of different people, a whole other network of people that I didn't know before.
Yep.
And if I did know them, it was just kind of in passing. And as going back to the favorite song, wow, I love the funky stuff. I love doing a lot of the medleys, and could be Pink Floyd, Another Brick in the Wall, or it could be the whole CCR stuff, and just turn it into a 15-20 minute long song if we had everybody paying attention.
So this show on Saturday night at roughly an hour scheduled is going to be a piece of cake.
Oh, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun. It's another thing is, it's so nice to know that there are a lot of players out there just playing guitar, playing drums, playing bass, keyboards, things like that. You see the violin players or horn players, and they're not depending on just computers, or they're not depending on programming. They're actually out there learning the craft, and
They're still real musicians.
yeah,
that
they're
work.
real musicians out there. And, nothing against the programmers, but there's a certain type of expression that we say things that people only feel in their hearts.
Yeah, and there's certain expressions that you can't do other than through your fingertips. It's like,
Yep.
a musician with his hands and fingers can be really expressive, just like a vocalist with their vocal cords. And
Yeah.
so
Exactly. It's just like you could have an amplifier there and two players handing the guitar back and forth to each other, and the guitar, the gear sounds different.
Yep, just by the way that they're
Yep.
playing it. Yep.
Just by all of that, then that expression and their attack, their reasonability, it's all there. And like I said earlier, people, they interpret that. They interpret that language that doesn't have words.
Right.
It's all that feeling right here. We have to do the best we can, because somebody might take it and want to find out where it comes from. And hopefully we can provide that.
Right. Roger, are you going to bring your hard key double stack?
No, I'm probably just bring one cab.
Just bring one cab.
Most practical.
We're
purpose.
26 by 26 in here.
I can blow
by
up
26.
I can blow up most houses with one box.
With one
if
box.
I
Well,
want
don't
to.
blow our windows out into the
No, I
control
won't
room.
do that. It'll sound good.
Okay, I got one more question for Jared. If there was anything that you could change about the music industry? I mean, we've gone through changes since. Reverb chambers used to be actual chambers. Record companies used to control it all. Now you have all kinds of online streaming options. A band can get pretty well recognized by playing online, and then kind of parlay that into playing some venues that wouldn't have happened because people discovered them online. You can develop a following and actually have them show up.
Yeah.
So there's some good things about it, but if there was one thing in the music industry that you could change, what would that be?
The one thing I would probably change, I would probably make it more marketable for each individual musician to want to keep playing, because some guys are still playing for $75 a night. Mm-hmm. And some people might be playing for $100 or $125, and that's not a conducive environment to bring along new people. You know, it needs new blood, and if they feel like maybe this is something that's a little bit, it makes a little more sense financially, you know, that's also a motivator. And if we could do that, then there'd be more people expressing themselves, you know. And we also need to try and bring back the crowds to listen to all of this.
Yeah, and when I was coming up, we essentially had to be in the union. And
Same here.
I really didn't like being in the union. I didn't understand what my dues were doing for me. But I think at the floor of it, what I was finding out was that the people that had us in to play were used to a certain minimum amount that they were willing to pay us. We didn't really have to bargain too hard. And I think at that point, at that time, maybe the union would have prohibited you from playing for free, because it would impact the wages of the people who were actually trying to make a living at it.
I don't want to get misunderstood and say that I wanted to go back into the union type, way of doing things. I was thinking of more being an entrepreneur, and building that rapport with the crowd, and being able to parlay that into their merchandise, and then start being able to use stuff like this as a tour date, and start creating a bigger just a buzz for the individuals or the bands, the artists, but they also have to be able to make it pay for itself.
Right.
It's got to make sense like that. If I could change something like that, if I could, get people out there to also believe in the music and believe in the people, then wow, that just makes it so much better for all of us.
You've seen that meme, Roger. I'm sure you've seen it too, where it might be a picture of a bass rig and an amp in the back of a Gremlin or something. And what's the caption on that?
It's like, what does he say? You go to like a $50 gig.
Drive 500 100 miles and spend $50 on gas and $5,000 worth of equipment to get paid $35, whatever it is.
$50 or whatever.
Yeah. So, and another one really good that somebody figured out. I've missed out on 3 gigs during this COVID thing, and I figured I've saved myself $275.
Yep. Your total loss was about $275.
It's a big investment, not only of time but also in equipment to really show up and bring it. It really is.
Yeah, I remember my first union card and the union days, and working on the road, and you pull into Portland, Oregon to the Inferno to set up or something.
Right.
And you get your gear about half loaded in the bar, and all of a sudden here comes a guy with some little wire rim glasses and a notebook, and he's the union guy there to collect your union dues.
Yeah, writing down on his ledger sheet.
Yeah. I can't remember, there was a word for it when you're in another jurisdiction or another local, work dues.
Yeah, right, work dues, yeah, that's right. You used to have to pay a portion of every gig. I remember that now.
I was lucky. I was too young to experience all of that. I just had to hustle all the time.
I moved to Great Falls and was playing with a guy by the name of Bobby Dan Anderson at the J Bar T, and I had to join the union. My dad had been a union
J Bar
guy
T,
for Local 365. And back then it cost, by the time I was done, this was 1973, it was about $150 to join.
Yeah, it seemed like just a ton of money, and it was a lot of money.
That's cheap now, looking back. So to join a local like that in New York or LA now, you're looking at $2 or $3 grand or something, I think, aren't you?
Well, that was back in the days you could buy a pretty decent car for $500.
Yeah.
Not $5,000.
Or you could buy like 3 guitars for $500.
Right, exactly, and pretty good ones.
Yeah.
Now one nice one's $5 grand.
Yep. Now you get a guitar is worth as much as a
Thank you,
car.
Gibson.
Well, you know, I tell young kids that I meet all the time that are playing or taking up music. I tell them this is one thing you can carry throughout the rest of your life. It's not like gymnastics or basketball or something that's going to go away when you lose your knees.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be something that you can really carry with you. And one of the benefits is meeting people like Roger and Jared and getting to know them. Amazingly enough, you do get to know people pretty well just by listening to them play and hearing the differences from night to night. I mean, our moods can get expressed in the way that we play, and it's just really quite the blessing that we have in a town like Billings to be able to circulate among so many people and meet so many musicians that are of like mind, I think.
Yeah.
So we really appreciate. Go ahead, Jared.
Oh, I've always thought of Billings, it could be like the Austin, Texas, you know?
Yeah.
It could be very much like that. It's a big enough city. It's got a pretty good scene. We could turn Montana Avenue into 6th Street if we wanted to.
Yeah, it is a crossroads too. A lot of people, a lot of the
Exactly.
bigger
There's some good
names,
talent
and
in this town.
the Texas crowd come right through here, going to wherever they're going, Minneapolis or Spokane or Seattle or whatever.
Well, that's what Robert Cray did back in the 80s when he used to do a tour from Portland because he was based out of there, and he'd go all the way to Chicago or all the way to New York, was it, Jared? He'd come back. He'd take I-90 all the way across the country, and he had gigs booked all the way as far as he was going to go, and all the way back.
Right.
And he built a following on I-90 across the country.
So here at Amplify Studios downtown, we're going to have the opportunity, I think, to be able to bring in a lot of these bands and get them content that will really help fuel their online presence and give them materials that they can use to show other people. This is what we look and sound like live. Because I can guarantee you, Saturday night when these guys come in here, you're going to know what they look and sound like live. We're going to switch it live. We're not going to edit it. This is it. And we're really appreciative of you guys coming down and really going to throw some sound waves into this room and out onto the social media so that everybody can take a good look at you.
I'm very, you know, appreciative as well that you're part of it. You know, it's kind of like we're working with family again. So,
Yep.
you know, and then Hot 101.9, you know, Amplify, all of the factors involved, and we just need to hopefully get people to listen in and, you know, they have fun with us.
Yeah, so go ahead, go to the Hot 101.9 website. And if you're interested, click the interested button and show up starting at 8 o'clock on Saturday night for social distancing program number 5. I'm Mark from our studios down here at Amplify downtown. I'm with King West Media Group with Charlie Garrett. He's going to be doing the sound. He does a lot of big shows around here. He's going to give us a great mix, and we're going to have a great show. Thanks, guys, for coming in. Really appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. Thank
We'll
you.
see you Saturday
Jared
night.
Stewart on Hot 101.9.
Jared Stewart on Hot 101, and Roger Strosky, best player in the world.
Well, I don't know about that, but thank you.
All right, we'll see you guys.
That was fun.